going to do a quick recording on using MySQL's models and then how to do them to make them a database. So first I'm going to do a new model. When you get that, it pops up here with the MyDB. If I double click that down below, it gives me the opportunity to change this. I'm going to just do a simple book database, kind of like other exercises that we've done. Now I'm going to add a diagram. Okay, so I need to double click it, I guess, to add it. Alright, we have our tables. I'm going to click there and then click here. If I double click that, it will raise up some property windows. So I'm going to say book, and then I'm going to do a column name. And by default, if I just double click, it'll say ID book. And it gives it an integer data type, which is just a number, which is fine. PK is for primary key, so if I click on primary key, it'll make it a primary key, and you can see the little key beside it. If I do AI, it'll auto increment, which means that it'll automatically add that ID number. It'll just count it. So I'm going to do title, and I will do, I will make it not null, which means that it's required. Varchar is good. That's a character type. It's called variable character. And I'm going to make it 200 characters. The max is 255. I'm going to say year, and that I will make as an int. And if we look up here, there's a lot of data types. You're not going to need most of these. There's just a few that you'll use over and over again. So I'm going to make it as the year as an int. I won't make that required. I'm going to do the price of the book just to show you one more data type. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to make it decimal. And decimal has some arguments there. So I'm going to take 6.2. So that's a 6, 2. That means a total of 6 digits with 2 on the right side of the decimal place. Okay, so those are all of our properties. Now, I'm going to make an author table. So I'm going to do author. So I'm going to click here, click here. I will call this table author, and I'm only going to give it a couple of fields. And I'm going to, the column name will be ID author, it'll be a primary key, and I'll auto increment it, and then we'll just do the author name.
AJ, I will, just 1 second.
So, and I will make this required, so not null. So I want to go down and look at some relationships here. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm just going to close this. And there's some different kinds of relationships here, including a many-to-many. So if I click on many-to-many, and then I click here and here, it will create a linking table that has a composite key made of author ID author int and author ID book int, right? So one to many. It renames the foreign key. If you don't like that, you can always go down here and just change it back to what the ID author and the ID book. So now it looks like that. I'm going to add a publisher. So I'm going to click here and here, and I'll double click this, and I'll name it publisher. All right. And I'll give it a couple of columns. ID publisher, primary key, auto increment. I'm just going to put the publisher name here and make that not null. All right, so I'm going to do a relationship between publisher and book. We're going to say one book has one publisher, and so it's just a simple one-to-many. The thing I want to stress is use the dashed ones, not the solid ones for this. The other thing that's different is you want to go from the foreign key to the primary key. So the fork side to this. So that gives us the publisher int as a foreign key, and then here it has this, so it's a foreign key to that. And again, if you want to change that field so that it's ID publisher, you can rename it down here. Okay, so I want to keep this short because I don't have a lot of time here, but this is our entity relation diagram, right? Looks like the others. We could do a lot more tables, but I'm just going to do these few. All right, so having done that, making sure that everything is right, all the relationships are right, the field names are what you want, the data types are what you want, then you can probably save the model. So I'm going to go to File, Save Model, and I will call it Book, and it is in Documents, so I want to get rid of the A for Book, and I will save it, and it'll save it as so let's just go to Documents. So it's a book, and it has a NWB type. I'm going to show I want to show the I just want to show so view file name extensions, and there you'll see it has an MWB. That's Model Workbench. So in Workbench, just to show you real quickly, if I were to close this, so I'm going to close the diagram, close the model. I can open this by going File, Open Model, and I can see the book down there, and I can reopen it. So I'll just double click it, and it'll reopen everything here, including the diagram. So you can save the model, and it's still a model, it's still workable as a model. Okay. So now what I want to do is make it a database. So in the menu, there's database. One of the things we can do is forward engineer. Forward engineer takes the model and turns it into SQL, and then runs the SQL. You can give this a name if you want. Mine is local instance. You don't have to do that. It'll just assume that. It'll ask me for the password, and that's fine. So I'm just going to do next. Mostly you can leave these just as are. You don't necessarily need to do all of these things. In fact, for right now, I'm not going to. I'm going to do next. I have to do my password. So I'm going to do OK. So it tells me what it's going to do. It's going to do objects. It's not going to do views or some of these others because they don't exist. I'm going to do next. This is the SQL. If you want, you can copy this. So you can copy it to a file. You can save it to a file. If you want to do that. This is the SQL. I'm just going to do next. tells me these are things it's going to do it. It says it did it all successfully, and I can do close. Okay, so I forward engineered it. So I have the local instance of the server here. And if I look down, down here, there's schemas. And right now it doesn't have anything there, but if I click the refresh, you'll see that it has book. And if I open up book, you can see that it has the tables, right, that I listed. I'm going to go up here, close that. All right. So if I wanted to enter an author, I can notice these three icons over here. The third icon is to edit. This is to change the structure of it, and this is just information. So if I click on this, it gives me a little grid where I can enter the author. Don't enter the ID if you did an auto number like I did. So I'm going to enter, just say Hemingway. All right, and then I'm going to do, Bradbury. Okay, I think that's all the names I'm going to enter right now. You need to apply these. If you don't apply them, then they won't actually be written to the database. It says that it was done successfully. Okay, so if I finish and I go back, notice they now have odd numbers, and they are, you know, they've populated the data. So I'm going to do book, and I'm going to actually I'll just mouse over and do that edit again. So I'm going to give the book a title. So I'm going to do something wicked. This way comes. It's a Ray Bradbury book. The year, probably 1960 something. The price just to be probably more like $5.19, and the publisher, which I didn't enter the publishers. I need to enter a publisher. It actually won't let me do this until I've entered a publisher. So let's do a publisher. I'm going to say Bantam, and I'm going to say Random House. Actually, let's do Scribner's. I think that belongs to Random House. But all right, so I'm going to apply these, and I will apply. Okay, and then I'll finish. So we have our publishers. Now I can go back. If you look at, there's tabs up here. We'll go back to book, and I will say 1. Okay, and then I'm going to do October country. I don't know when, 1949 or sometime. 450, and the same publisher. And then I will do Farewell to Arms. Which is 1939 about. Let's make it like 1235, and the publisher is 2. All right, and then it wouldn't have let me do this without this because that's a required field and it's a foreign key. You have to do all the primary key stuff first. So I'm going to apply that, and I'm going to apply, and I'm going to finish, and so now I have the books in here. Now, the author has a book, right? So if I do that, I'm going to do this. This is the linking table. So the author ID is 1 for Ray Bradbury. The book is 1, 1, and 2. And this is 2, Hemingway, and 3. You have to manually enter these, which may mean that you have to go back and look at author and look at book to do that. So I'm going to apply and apply and then finish. And it's okay. Now if these numbers are wrong, if they don't match any actual records, it will throw an error. Okay, so that is my quick description of how to do MySQL Workbench and how to create the database and add records. So I'm going to kill this video.